Hello, everybody. It has been so long since I've done one of these live streams, so I am happy to be back. As you know, it is October, and there are many of us who are getting ready to do NaNoWriMo that is coming up next month in November. So I wanted to take the opportunity to go ahead and participate in Preptober, as we now call October, as we get ready for NaNoWriMo. So welcome to Preptober, Get to Know Your MC, which for those of you in the writing community know that MC stands for main character. So what we are going to be doing is we're going to be doing a lot of different kind of questions to make you think about how would your character respond, or just maybe some interview questions that you hadn't considered as you are creating your main character. So we're going to do that. We're also going to be doing a little bit of some writing sprints. Don't worry, no pressure or anything. It's not like we're really focusing on word count tonight. So we're just going to have a lot of fun and get to know these main characters. So that's what tonight will bring. So go ahead and we are going to get started as people come in. So go ahead and introduce yourself. And if you would like to share, you can tell us the genre of your nano project if you are participating. So for those of you who don't know, I am Len Woolston. I am a dark fiction author, and I have recently come back to my YouTube channel so I can give my tips and tricks as far as what I've learned on my writing journey to help inspire you as you go on your writing journey, and also to do these live streams so that you have the community, because there are some of us writers who don't have writing friends like in real life. And so this is a great way to connect with other writers and to just be inspired. So that is who I am. So if you want to, in the comments, you can go ahead and introduce yourself if you feel like you want to share. So as we're doing our introductions and everything, I also wanted to have you go ahead and introduce your main character as well, so that you can kind of start getting into the rhythm of talking about your character, right? Because that is so important to know your main character and their journey that they're going to go on in your story. And again, that's what this evening is all about. So go, and because it's Halloween is coming up, we got 10 days left of the scary season, which is just so crazy to me that we have 10 days left. Go ahead and share a little bit about your main character and let us know what their favorite candy is, because that is just seems perfect for the time of this year. So as more people are coming in, I'm going to go ahead and share with you a little bit about who I am, and then also like what I'm going to be working on, and go into what their favorite candy is. So like I said, I'm Len Woolston, and I am going to be focusing this NaNoWriMo on writing a young adult horror story. And I have a main character who is named Evan, and he has just turned 18. So it's one of those stories that begins on their 18th birthday. And of course, it doesn't go planned how they think it's going to, right? But I will share. So Evan's favorite candy is Sour Patch Kids. And I am really hoping to kind of incorporate that into my story, because Evan's a little more reserved, a little bit more shy, which is kind of how I am. So I really connect with him on that level. And I really wanted to pick like a sour candy, because it's one of those, like, I feel like when there's a sour candy, you have to share it with somebody else to like see like the torture that they go through as they're eating that candy. And so I kind of wanted to pick something that, some people like Sour Patch Kids, some people don't. I personally do. But I also wanted it to make it, some element that is going to be in my story related to that. So that is my main character. One of the other things that I think is really important too when you are writing your characters, and we'll go through kind of like these phases of who your character is. One of the, I guess, beginnings to a lot of people when they are developing their character is to talk about their appearance. And so that is something that I feel almost in every story that you read, you get, what their name is, but then it really jumps into like their appearance, like what they look like, right? So that we can formulate this character in our minds as readers. Um, but I feel like sometimes that we tend to focus so much about that. And while it's good to know and it's good to be able to rep all different backgrounds and everything within the characters that we write, I feel as though as time goes on, it's really hard as a writer to get a little bit more creative in how you describe your character, especially their appearance. So what we are going to be doing is I wanted to kind of take an opportunity to give you an exercise to write about your appearance of your character, but in a way that maybe you are not familiar with, and maybe it'll allow you to kind of look at your character in a different light. So we're going to be describing your main character's physical appearance without using color descriptions, which I know is so difficult because, right, that's like immediately what we associate people, what color their hair is, what color their eyes are. And we're going to, with this writing exercise, we're not going to be doing that, which seems so crazy, right? So we're going to take this time and we are going to make it so that we will be describing those features, but without the use of color. Like, what other way can you describe this character? So I am going to go ahead and set a timer. Let me go ahead and get that up so that we can get going there. So with our timer, I will let you know when that happens, and I'll go ahead and mute myself so you don't have to like listen to my clickety clackety as I'm chugging along. But yeah, go ahead. We are going to be doing 10 minutes. So go ahead and get your notebook, or if you want to get your laptop ready, we are going to be beginning so you can start writing a little bit more about this character. So with that, let's go ahead and we are going to be doing our first 10-minute sprint. So I will come back to you in about 10 minutes and we will see how we do. Okay, so we have our first 10-minute sprint down. So that is great. So hopefully you can see that that exercise really makes you branch out and to think about other descriptions when it comes to the physical appearance of your main character. And it's something that you can take from this exercise and you can incorporate. Like if there's something that you wrote and you're like, oh, I really like that, line, even that whole section that you just wrote, you can most certainly put that in your first draft. So go ahead and make sure that you are saving all of this. So the other thing that I think is important to really understand as a writer for your main character is to understand what their everyday looks like. Because when you're beginning the story, it is really crucial to set the foundation for what does life look like for your main character and to know what are the norms, what's to be expected, what kind of world are they already in, and then also to kind of develop the understanding of how they see that world and how they are able to determine, are they currently happy and content, or like in many stories, is there something that comes along in their daily life or an opportunity to escape their everyday life for something that is more aligned with what they're looking for. So we're going to go ahead and shift now to kind of understanding their everyday life. So I was going to go ahead and ask, for your main character, start thinking about their needs. Like what do they need every day? And we're going beyond, obviously like food, shelter, sense of security. But what to them are their like must has as they go throughout the day? So I will go ahead and share that my main character, Evan, he has to have his cell phone. I mean, he's a teenager. He also has to have his hoodie that he has had for years. It's completely worn. Like it looks like it's literally hanging on its last thread, but he has to have that with him because it's almost like his security blanket that he wears. And then the other thing that he needs is he needs daily pets from his pet corgi named Cheeto. And that whole concept was definitely inspired by one of my children who is obsessed with corgis. So she was able to help me put that into this story. And I was explaining to her that, yeah, my main character also has a corgi named Cheeto. And she came up with that name. And I thought it was so cute. So that is what Evan needs. So you can go ahead and explore what your main character needs every single day. You can see that in this, I put a little emoji for tea because if you do know me, you know how much I love tea. That's definitely one of my top 3 things. So if I was a character in a book, that would have to definitely be one of them. But moving aside from their needs, if we shift now to their wants, that's also important. So what does your main character truly want, but also what's stopping them from getting it? Because when you now set aside, okay, they have their needs, what are things that they want? So it's not the end of the world really if they don't have these things, but it does create that there is some tension, there is some desire, there is something that is pulling them away from their everyday life because they have these wants and that they want to go explore and to try to achieve them. So definitely try to ask yourself, what does your main character truly want? And it could be an item, it can be something that you can materialize. Maybe it's an experience that they're after. It can also be something that isn't really tangible, like love. For my main character, Evan, his is acceptance. Like that is truly what he wants. He wants to be accepted. And then beyond that, he also wants control because he feels like in his everyday life, he doesn't have so much control. And all of this kind of culminates because he is the type of person who he feels like he is not worthy of his wants. He understands that he has needs, even, like the needs we had just talked about. But when it comes to the wants, it's almost like he doesn't believe he is worthy to achieving those. And so he has been putting them off. And a lot of that comes down to a lack of self confidence. Um, and it always is something that he every day has to struggle with because it's something that in his normal life he doesn't see that those wants are something that he can have. So, um, the other thing that I kind of wanted to do for our next writing sprint is to go ahead and kind of talk about something that would be not necessarily a need, but going on this idea of wants, right? So we all have wants, we all have dreams. So for this writing time, we are going to describe your main character's best day ever. And it can either be something that it's the best day ever that they've already had, or it can be what they would consider the best day ever. And it's something that they dream about. It's something that it's almost like they have this aspiration to live out this day. And this is what that day would look like. So we are going to go ahead and go right into this 10-minute sprint. So I will get the timer going. And again, I will go on mute, but I will be back after the 10 minutes. So go ahead and get ready as we do the 10 minutes. And you can write this either in third person, as you, the author, describing your main character. You can also write it first person. Like you can also make it that your main character is kind of describing it to you as the author. So you can choose what you would like to do with that and make sure that you have fun with it. So let's go ahead and let's do our next 10-minute sprint. All right, another 10-minute sprint is down. So hopefully that went well for you on describing their best day ever. Um, and you can share in the comment section if you want to about, what that best day looked like. But of course, you don't have to share if you don't want to. I can tell you that I guess I can share a little bit about my best day for my main character. So Evan got to, because I was writing from his POV, and he was sharing about how his best day ever that he has had so far was the first day that the girl that he has been best friends with forever decided to, out of nowhere, just kiss him. And it's a day that he will never forget. So, and because that is kind of a part of my story. So that was really good to like hash that all out and to get a good idea of what he sounds like as he is speaking. So that is a really good exercise too. Whenever you're doing these writing exercises, even if you don't choose to write in first person, it's really good for getting to know your character because it makes you recognize how they talk. So even in third person, when you do these exercises in first person, it can really help your dialogue as you're writing. So the other thing that I wanted to kind of now shift to is about who your character is behind the mask. So we all present ourselves a certain way. So, we have our physical appearance, we have how we act around other people, but beneath all of us and our characters included, there is a lot of stuff that happens, right? Like internally, like there's definitely internal struggles that we have. And so I think that really diving deep into this area is what makes your character unique, but also something that is relatable, even if it's, not likable. They are relatable because it's kind of what unifies us all as human beings, that we have these things going on. So, what we are going to focus on now is I am going to share with you, if you have not read this book, Creating Character Arcs by K.M. Wieland, this book is really great for really understanding like how your character is going to progress throughout your story. And it goes over to a lot of things to consider when you are plotting out what their story is going to be, whether it's, a positive change that they experience, or maybe a negative change, or if they just, stay the same throughout the story. I highly recommend that book. It is also really great too because she has a lot of examples about like different examples on how it's implemented, like in movies and books, so that you can kind of like pinpoint like, oh, okay, yes, like I understand that concept because I've seen it on screen. And so it helps you to identify as an author, okay, how did those writers do that? How am I going to do it in my story? So one of the things that does get discussed in that book is the lie that your character believes. And so this usually is apparent towards the beginning of your story when you're kind of showing who they are as a character. So go ahead and try to explore what is one truth that your main character believes that shapes how they view the world. So a couple of examples that are in that book are, so if you think of Toy Story, so the lie that Woody believes is that your value is in being the favorite toy, right? So at the beginning, once Buzz comes into play in the story, you see that Woody starts to change because he's believing this lie, and it's shaping how he views his world. The other great example from another Pixar movie is in Cars. How Lightning McQueen, his lie is that he believes that success is a one-man show. And that's why it's all about him. And he doesn't, doesn't work well with others and he can do it all on his own. And so that is the lie that he believes. And throughout the story, you can see that he has to basically like unlearn that. So, um, I can tell you, like, for my story, so my main character, Evan, he is the type of person that believes he needs to please other people, including denying his own wants and needs in order to be accepted. So that really sets him up for um, dealing with a lot of these internal struggles because he is so concentrated on what other people want and how he can fulfill their wants and needs. And so it's almost like denying oneself. So that is something that I think would be in your best interest to establish early on before you start crafting your story about this lie that your main character believes. Because again, it does shape their whole world view. And it also is something that you are able to create this character arc and be able to map out how they are going to change throughout your story. So, are we ready for this? Is going to be our final writing sprint. So, what we're going to do for this time is we are going to fabricate, or we're just going to draft a journal entry, but it's going to be from your main character's perspective. So, in this, it would be first person that you're going to be writing in, and you are going to journal a confession of one secret they have not told anyone. But it can be something small. It doesn't have to be like, oh, I'm confessing to a murder and that doesn't fit in your story. Like, it doesn't have to be anything like that grand. It could be something as simple as, maybe they were the ones that left the door unlocked when their family was, going on vacation. And that was the reason that, well, not the reason that, they had like a home um, robbery, but like it could be, what your character believes is like, oh, it's all their fault. But it could also be something as, as simple as that they were the one that forgot to unplug the curling iron, or it could be something that, they fess up to, that maybe they forged their parents' signature on a permission slip at school. Something, just pick something for your character where it is one secret that they haven't shared with anybody. And so you're going to go ahead and work on as if they were journaling this. So we're going to go ahead and set the timer again, and happy writing. Okay, another writing sprint is done. So hopefully that went well for you. Didn't quite finish mine, like where I was going, but it was going really well. So all in all, that was very successful. Um, and I'm going to go ahead and make sure I save this because I don't want it to just like disappear. um, but hopefully you can see that there is an importance of spending the time to really understand who your main character is. And there's lots of different ways that you can explore this. And if you search for, there's lots of authors that share different outlining techniques, and even like character development sheets. Some writers I know have used like the character sheets that you use for like when you're making like a D&D character to help kind of further their characters and their worlds that they are writing. So that is something that you can do as well. But hopefully you can see that this was a great way to get a little bit of writing in while also exploring who your main character is. And I hope that you had fun because I sure did. I would just like to kind of round this evening out, and just say that I'm really looking forward to next month and writing this story, and I hope you are too. And know that I will have plenty of live sprints that are going to happen in November so that we can be super productive and keep each other accountable. Because again, it's really nice to get together with other writers who understand how crazy it is that we sign up to do, the 50K in a month. So if you want further information about NaNoWriMo, you can go to their website, NaNoWriMo, and you can even create your own login and everything. And so like you'll be able to, they have like a word tracker that you could do there. There's lots of events too that get posted there. And then if you win, it's like very rewarding. So I would recommend checking that out if you haven't already set up that account. But with that, I would say too that if you would like to kind of follow my adventures, you can follow me pretty much everywhere at Len Woolston. And you can kind of see what I'm up to. If you follow me on Instagram in particular, that's when you will know when there will be other live streams available. So yeah. And of course, if you have like any questions or anything like that, feel free to message me and reach out, because I always like helping other writers on their journey as well. And you can also check out my other videos that I have. They are kind of old, I will admit, because it's been so long since I have been back on YouTube, but I'm here and I will be posting regularly. So go ahead and make sure that you subscribe if you aren't already. And so with that, I would just like to say thank you for joining me. This was really productive. I'm glad that I was able to get all of this done. Hopefully you are too. And again, hopefully you are getting a better sense of who your main character is and you learned a thing or two. So with that, we'll go ahead and end this live stream. And I hope that you guys have an amazing evening. And until next video. All right, bye.